I'm back with another video, and this time I'm giving my thoughts and opinions on Almost There, A Twisted Tale by Farah Rashan. So stay tuned to find out what I thought about this book. Okay, and just so you know, I can't promise that there won't be any spoilers in this video. So if you have not read this book and you plan to read it and you don't want it spoiled, proceed with caution. So first off, this book is a part of the Twisted Tales, which is a Disney series that like asks a question about what if the fairy tales would have went a different way. And I've read another book in this series, and that is So This Is Love, and it is by Elizabeth Lim, and it's the Cinderella story. What if Cinderella never tried on the glass slipper? And growing up, Cinderella was always my favorite Disney princess, so it was only right that I read this one first, and I really liked it. I thought it was a great alternative to how the story went. I thought it was really well thought out. I liked this one. This one I would give 4 stars. I thought it was pretty clever, and I read it last year, but overall I remember liking this one. This one I liked, but I would only give it 3 stars because I barely finished it, and I had a lot of gripes with it. So before I get into that, let's go over the questions that they asked. What if Tiana made a deal that changed everything? Just like, Cinderella had her question, what if she never tried on the glass slipper, what would happen? So this one follows the timeline of what if the night of Mardi Gras, whenever it was in Princess and the Frog. And just so you know, you see, I always forget. I tried to wear something green, and I'm wearing Princess Tiana earrings that I got a couple years ago from Target. So don't go looking for them at Target. I don't think you can find them anymore. Goes over the timeline of what would have happened if Tiana made a deal with the Shadow Man. So that's what we start off from, like Princess and the Frog, when she's like in that alley and the Shadow Man's trying to get her to make a deal, and she's like, no, and then all the shadows overtake him. So what if instead of that happening, she actually made a deal with him? Well, what deal did she make? It was a deal. So this happens pretty early in the book, but it is a little bit of a spoiler just in case you think there would have been some other deal that she would have made. But the deal she makes in this book is to bring her dad back from the dead. And pretty much, it wasn't even Tiana's idea. This was the Shadow Man presenting her this deal. And right away, I thought like that was a horrible deal. And I didn't even think that she made the deal herself. I'm like, he just tricked her into accepting this. So that's the deal that she makes. Chapter 1 starts like a year later, getting close to the anniversary of when Tiana made this deal and when she got her father back. Around the anniversary of the deal, all these strange things start happening. There's a fog rolling in. Um, there's like a green slime or algae that's creeping its way into the city. What else happens? Tiana starts to notice people forgetting things that happened the past year. And then they end up getting attacked by some flying bees or wasps or insects or something. So all these strange things start happening, and she really can't understand why. You can't, Tiana. You don't know what you did a year ago. So before I get into all the things that I did not like about this book, let's go over some things that I did like about this book. So I think I'm just biased to any book that's set in New Orleans. I tend to like any book set in New Orleans, and this book did a good job of capturing um, the life of the city, of the things that they had going on, the feeling of Mardi Gras and all that kind of stuff. And I'm saying this like I'm from New Orleans or I've been to Mardi Gras, but I thought that this book did a good job of like talking about the things that lead up to it, the type of food they eat, the festivities that they have, and things like that. And another thing that I liked was that she was able to capture the essence or the personality of the characters. Like I felt like Lottie was really Lottie in this book. I could hear her voice. Um, what's the name of the alligator? So the author really captured their personalities. I don't know so much about Naveen because maybe he didn't even have a personality in the movie, but he was a decent enough character in this book. Um, and even Tiana, I feel like she had sort of a grasp on Tiana. I just felt Tiana was, well, of course she was smarter in the movie because she didn't make a deal with the Shadow Man, but in this book she did. So I guess she had to make Tiana a little bit. I guess she had to make Tiana not as smart and prone to bad decisions because I just felt that the author took Tiana's personality and took it too far. Let me tell you what I mean by that. So how Tiana is portrayed in this book is a know-it-all, as a know-it-all who was always wrong. And I felt like she made Dr. Facilier, whatever his name was, actually, the dad from Greenleaf, smarter than Tiana. I felt like, or she made him maybe even a more sympathetic character, but I'll get into that later. And I feel like he was smarter than her and coming out ahead on most of their dealings with each other, even back to the first deal that they struck. It was Facilier, I don't know. It was the Shadow Man's idea. It was his deal that he tricked her into taking. In this book, she didn't have enough sense not to make a deal to bring somebody back from the dead. At this point, her dad had been dead for years and she's making a deal. And like, why would she even want a zombie dad? Like, that I just right away from the start was like, okay, Tiana, this is going bad right away. This is not a good deal. And also you can hear you get a glimpse of what the Shadow Man is thinking when he's making the deal, and you know that he's not telling her everything and she trusts him. She is making a deal with the Shadow Man and she's putting her trust in him. Like, she's not like she has a backup plan or she has some inside knowledge into what she's doing. No, he is tricking her, and that just right away rubbed me the wrong way. And then Tiana's like way too unbelievable. But I have to get to that later too, because I want to go over another gripe I have with this book, and that would sum up my word for this book. If I can describe this book in one word: mundane. I mean, this author went today they did this, the next day they did that, the next day she was at the restaurant, she was cooking this up, and it was like just day by day, and I was like, what am I waiting for to happen? What is going to happen? And nothing was happening, and Tiana's just fretting and stressing herself out trying to keep up with the Shadow Man, and he's still playing tricks on her and asking her to do new things as part of the deal, but now she's going to stand up to him and it's all going downhill. And the reason I think she's unbelievable is because there's a fog rolling in. She made a deal with the Shadow Man to bring her dad back from the dead. She has a friend who, Lewis, is that his name? Lewis, the alligator. She has a friend, Louis, right? From Louis Armstrong, whatever. That was an alligator that's now a human. What else? I mean, all kind of stuff that's happening. And then, her then we get to a part in the book. The trinket, when she got it, I guess it had two flowers, but they were just buds. And then after she gets it in her house, they're like in full bloom. And she goes, this is what it says. But she has specifically remembered those buds. She'd remarked on how pretty they would be if they could bloom. She shook her head. There had to be a logical explanation. So, you mean to tell me all that and that you've been through and you're looking for a logical explanation? That was like turning me off about her because they just weren't that's not realistic. I mean, at all. I mean, you have an alligator friend that's a human and you are looking for a logical explanation. Your dad is running a T&J supper club with you and he died years ago, but you were looking for a logical explanation. Tiana's her brain just wasn't, where it needed to be to be in this book, I mean, Tiana was a smart girl. She wanted to be a business owner. And now in this book, she's just like, I guess her sanity is slipping or something. But that was one thing. And then you heard me mention the new character, Miss Rose. Well, Miss Rose has been being really nice to Tiana, giving her things. Um, the bud, the hairpiece. She's been giving her paintings for her restaurant. After the shadow man starts making more demands on her, she decides to see Mama Odie. So she takes a boat out to the swamp and all her friends get on it. They go to Mama Odie's house unannounced and she's not there, but her niece is there who can make like, some healing balm or something. And she says, "Oh, Mama Odie isn't here, but I can take you to my aunt Lee or something." And so they go back and Tiana finds out that it's Miss Rose. And she's like, "How dare you? You tricked me." Oh, because Miss Rose is presenting as an older woman. That's how she walks around. But when Tiana sees her again in her garden at her house, she looks younger. And Tiana is highly offended by this. For what reason? I don't know, but she just runs out. She's so upset with the lady. "How dare you? You lied to me, blah, 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 blah." But before we even get to that, she did not just go to see Mama Odie because the shadow man was making more demands on her. Her dad is sick, withering away, and about to die. So she made a deal with the shadow man to bring her dad back from the dead. But she can't speak to this lady, Miss Rose, who has been so nice to her this whole time to figure out how to save him. Now she's highly offended that this lady uh, was walking around and looking like an older woman. I mean, yeah, I was really upset with T. And I even made a note in the book and said, where is it? Oh, her anger and distrust of Rose is so unwarranted. Is that what I wrote? I think that's what I tried to write. Does the author realize how much I don't like Tiana right now? Are you trying to make Tiana unlikable? Can you please let her be like she's mean to everybody? She, one person does one thing she doesn't like and she's out of there. She won't hang out with her friends. Her friends go missing. She doesn't even notice. I was at one point rooting for the Shadow Man because she did give us some insight into the Shadow Man and how he turned out that way. And I really felt bad for him. And I was hoping that she'd say, "Oh," I was like, "Oh, so maybe she's setting the Shadow Man up to turn his ways and help Tiana get out of this deal." No, that's not what happened. So I was a little bit sad for that. But overall, at the end, I guess the protagonist, she came out on the end. Her friends came out on the end, and all was well in time for Mardi Gras. But it took us a very long time to. Can you see how many pages this is? And it didn't have to be that long because nothing happened in the book. But it all ended well. And overall, I give it 3 stars because at the end of the day, it was a cute little story. Yes, I was annoyed by by Tiana and the slowness of the story, but I just don't think she was a strong protagonist for the Shadow Man. I felt like he was just smarter and clever, and it's only in the Disney world where good overpowers evil that Tiana even had a fighting chance against him. So yeah, and she ended up needing Mrs. Rose's help at the end, anyways. So now that that rant is over, I do plan to read more of these twisted tales. Let's see if I can get a. Oh, there we go. These twisted tales. I think I actually have part of your world, part of my world, whatever it is, the Aladdin one, on my Kindle. So maybe that's the next one I'll read. Right now, as I record this, I'm reading The Housemaid, so it'd have to be after that. But let me know in the comments if you've read any of the Twisted Tale books and which one is your favorite if you have, or if you just plan to read them and you haven't read them yet. I'd really like to know. And my my sponsor is napping again because that's what she loves to do. So as she would say, please like and subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye.